I did say to him early on, I'm like, look, man, I just so you know, we're working on the script and I know it's called The Accountant, but I said, I'm integrating Brax into the movie really early. When we get to Brax, I said, I'm going to just leave the plot. I'm just going to go hang out with Brax for 10 minutes and just live with him, completely disconnected from the story. And then you're going to pull him into the story. And I said, and then it's really, I just want to explore the two brothers trying to fix it. And he was like, great, cool.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, the mathematical savant and moonlighting hitman returns, in director Gavin O'Connor's action sequel, The Accountant 2. The film tells the story of Christian Wolff, hired again to use his brilliant mind and highly lethal skill set to solve the puzzling murder of a Treasury Chief. Though a danger in his own right, this time he enlists the help of his estranged brother, as they uncover a deadly conspiracy full of ruthless killers and buried secrets. In addition to The Accountant 2, O'Connor's other directorial credits include the features The Accountant, The Way Back, Warrior, Miracle, Tumbleweeds, and episodes of the series 7 Seconds, The Americans, and Clubhouse. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, O'Connor spoke with director Dan Gilroy about filming The Accountant 2. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Hello. Thanks for coming out. This is great. Mr. O'Connor, I should preface this by saying Gavin and I go way back. We're friends. And
Friends a long time, yeah.
An honor and a pleasure to sit here and do this with you. I love this film. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Watched it twice, had a bunch of questions. Going to pick your brain.
Did you watch it on your phone? Where did you watch it?
I watched it on my watch. Because you can zoom in and sort of what? Okay, yeah. I was a little confused at times. And I want to talk about that too. But I think it's great and fascinating to watch the birth of a franchise. And I know this is the second one, and that's, to me, why it's the birth. The first, anybody can make first movie, but here we are with the second one, the characters continue. You're successfully continuing it. Tell us, I'm interested to start two things. Tell us the production history from the first to the second one, because some time went by, switched studios. What was that process from when you ended to how you got it off the ground here?
Yeah, so we came out in 2016, and Bill and I had been talking about 3 movies. That was always the idea.
Right.
And getting it was a really sort of surreal, kind of Kafkaesque experience because the movie performed and we never felt like they were that excited about doing a second one. It was really odd for myself and Ben and Bill and Lynette, the producer. So, and it was at Warner Brothers. And then there was a kind of musical chairs with executives over there, and so we would start getting traction, and then the door would open and people would leave, and then new people would come in, and we'd have to start again. We finally got them to agree to let Bill write one draft, no rewrite, no polish.
So at this point then, as years are going by, this is the first writing now that's happening on the second one. So they weren't even like green-lighting any scripts. They were just sort of not sure what they wanted to do with it.
Well, at one point they got into deals with us, but they wanted to pay us a little less than we got in the first one. And we were like, why would we do that when you guys made so much money? Like, isn't it supposed to be you're supposed to go up a little?
I don't think Gavin understands how this town works a little bit, but anyway.
I'm so naive. So in any event, around 2018, 2019, we finally got them to, we made a deal for, and my deal, there was no deals done for director, producer, Ben, Bernthal, nobody's deal, but my agent got them, I don't know, he twisted arms and got them to do one draft. So Bill did a draft and it was, we could never have turned in the draft because it wasn't remotely close to where it needed to be. And the beauty of Dubuque is, as he said to me, he said, Gavin, I'm in the business of writing movies, not scripts. So I'm like, great. So
Meaning like writing is rewriting, kind of.
meaning 14 drafts later.
That's how it's done. We all know.
Right? 14 drafts later, we finally had a script that we turned in. The problem was by this point, we had COVID. Yeah. So that hit the brakes on everybody's lives. Then we had a strike, and then we had another strike. So it was a series of starts and stops, and then the last hurdle was Ben and Matt started their company, Artist Equity. So Ben had said to me that he can't make the movie unless it's under the banner of Artist Equity as a studio. And I guess Warner Brothers didn't want to do a co-production.
So they're sitting on it, but they still don't want to sort of facilitate.
No, and they wouldn't, and they had to do a co-production for Ben to do the movie because Ben's deal with his financiers is he has to do everything under the banner of Artist Equity.
Going to Artist Equity as a side note, Artist Equity is Ben and Matt Damon.
Yes.
They are the principals of the company.
They're the principals of the company, but I would say Ben runs the whole, Ben really is generates pretty much everything over there. It's his brainchild. And so I think if I remember, Matt said something like, I never want to read a spreadsheet. So Warner Brothers didn't want to do a co-production, and we got it out of there for a price. Gangster capitalism at its finest. And
we want to make it, but we just don't want to give it back to the people who created it. Yeah.
Yes. So we got it out of there, and many people from Warner Brothers are now at Amazon MGM. Most importantly, Courtney Valenti and Sue Kroll.
Of course, yeah.
So when they heard what was going on, they called Ben and I, and they said, "Look, we want it." So we went right there, and but the way it works at Artist Equity is a negative pickup. So Ben financed the movie entirely, and then we just handed it off when it was finished to Amazon. So
Artist Equity, I would imagine, user-friendly in the sense that you got creatives who are overseeing the project. You're a creative, obviously, so they felt protected. If there were any disagreements between you and Amazon, does Artist Equity come in and does Ben come in and say, as an actor and a producer and sort of money, say, let's go with what?
Well, Amazon just got we just handed them a finished film. So there was nothing from them. I mean, they did come we had our first, so when I finished my cut, I screened it for Artist Equity for Ben and his people. And Ben was really happy. It was working. I wasn't sure if, even when I was shooting it, I knew what I was going for tonally, but it was a bit of a tightrope. Sure. Because I was dealing with the heavy subject matter of human trafficking, dealing with autism, but I also wanted to make a fun, entertaining. The truth is, I wanted to make my version of a popcorn movie, right, which I'd never done before. But and a lot of that is coming out of what happened. Ben and I had a movie called The Way Back that I made.
It's a great film, by the way. It's a staggering film. It really is.
Thank you. But we came out on a Friday, and the theater shut down on Monday, so it was dead. And
because of COVID.
Because of COVID, yeah. So that was over, and I sort of I checked out. I took my family. I left LA. We moved away for a couple of years.
Where'd you move?
To Laguna Beach.
Oh, okay.
And just lived down there. I just got out of Los Angeles, and my wife and I had a little one. We have two out the door, and we started again because we didn't want to be empty nesters. So I was just being a dad, which was the greatest, and just being home with my kid every day, and sort of refreshing my own tank. So I think what happened with The Way Back and the disappointment of that informed, like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm very intentionally trying to make, while juggling the balls of the tone, which was tricky, and I didn't know if I really ever pulled it off, to be honest, until I put it up and we did our first test screening. But coming out of the disappointment of that, I very intentionally tried to make, maybe it's not a popcorn movie, I guess we'll find out, but it would be, I guess, my version of one.
Feels like one. In a good way.
Yeah. And,
Yeah, definitely.
thank you. And, yeah.
So the 14 drafts, all this is going on. You're now thinking, I want to make a popcorn movie in reaction to COVID and other things that are going on. The 14 drafts. So were the drafts radically changing? Was it like suddenly Bill Dubuque, the writer? We're going to talk about, I know there's the DGA. We're going to talk about directing in a minute. We're going to have a very long conversation about lenses. And I'm sure you know every lens you use, but no, we're not. But was Bill like, were you sending Bill like, hey, Bill, we're changing this now. I think I want to make it more of a sort of like a tentpole kind of thing. How was that?
No, what happened was
the story is what I'm talking about. The evolution of the story.
Yeah. So what happened was, Bill and I had said to Bill, I want to build a plot around human trafficking. We should kill Ray in the beginning of the movie.
So you knew that going in.
Oh yeah. He and I talked about that because I just wanted to make it personal for everybody. So there was that. And I said, I also wanted to integrate Brax. I want to get into I want to explore the brothers and do more of a buddy picture like we were talking about. So those were my kind of the bigger macro notes. The problem was when Bill wrote the draft, he replicated so many things from the first movie. And I was just like, dude, I don't want to do the first movie at all, actually. I said, we have to preserve some of the DNA, but I want to do something entirely different. So I said, we got to get rid of all that stuff. So we started rolling up sleeves together and reworking the script. And when I say 14 drafts, that was just to get it into Warner Brothers, which we ended up getting out of. But then, I can't tell you how many, a lot of drafts. I'm a very...
Every movie I've ever worked on is that way.
It's that way,
few.
yeah.
That's the process. That's definitely the process.
It's the process. And you just until you shoot the scene, you're always challenging it, right? So, and fortunately, Bill and I have a really good thing. And as he says to me that, I think he thinks I'm on the spectrum because I obsess to the point of driving him mad. But he's really great at allowing me to kind of, you write and direct your own stuff, so you don't. But if I write too, but if I'm not writing it, he was really generous about making the left turn rather than the right turn, and this is my sensibility. I'm like, good idea, but that's not what I want to do.
I wanted to ask you about that. Gavin's a great writer, a hell of a writer. So you're working, typically directors and writers, they're sort of separate. Did you feel as a writer that you were having more input with Bill? Hey, Bill, I have some sense of what I want to do here, and I know how to do it. Was it more of a collaboration than you would normally see? Well,
a collaboration in regard to, I would tell him what I want the scene to be, and then I would never step on his toes because he's a better, he's definitely a better writer than me. So it's a great kind of partnership because I would describe what I want the scene to be, and then he would go execute it. And if it didn't work, I would be really, really specific about why, and then he would always, it would always just get better and better.
So we were talking about the buddy relationship. It seems like the emotional relationship between Ben and John in this film, it feels to me like the core. There's a lot of other things going around it, but it seems like the center of it is always this, you're going back to the relationship between these two brothers. They've had a traumatic home life and they're sort of rediscovering each other and finding each other. Did Ben have input on the relationship with John? I would imagine, maybe John had input as well. Was Ben ever coming to you and going, I think this happened in my backstory? Because it's a franchise character, it's obviously, and it's important to you and it's important to Ben. So I would think Ben would be invested in it. Ben's a hell of a writer himself. Ben coming in and sort of giving notes about where I want to see it go, or leaving you guys alone?
Yeah, the beauty of Ben for me is that because he's a very good writer, he's a really good director, and he's a really good actor. So, but when he's just there as an actor. So I did say to him early on, I'm like, look, man, I just so you know, we're working on the script and it's not, I know it's called The Accountant, but I said, I'm integrating Brax into the movie really early. I said, as a matter of fact, when we get to Brax, I said, I'm going to just leave the plot of the movie, just buy to the plot. I'm just going to go hang out with Brax for 10 minutes and just live with him, completely disconnected from the story. And then you're going to pull him into the story. And I said, and then it's really, I just want to explore the two brothers trying to fix it, figure their shit out. And he was like, great, cool. I love that story.
Yeah. One of the things I love about this movie, and I think it's so wise, I think it's the key to a successful franchise when you're not repeating what happened before, you're taking to new ground. I think that's the franchise that lasts longest. But what I loved about this movie is the humor. There is some truly funny shit going on in this movie. I mean, the line dancing scene feels like a classic scene to me.
Yeah, that was
And the speed dating scene too. I mean, so how did these? Were you sitting with Bill going like just riffing, going like, we can have more fun with this guy? Like, it's such a great idea to put him in a speed dating. It plays to all the strengths of the character in the story. How did whose idea? How did that humor?
So, what I discovered on the first movie was there was more humor to mine. So I knew going into the second, that was sort of a marching order in my mind and what Bill and I spoke about. So to speak to those two scenes, the speed dating scene was my idea because I had actually seen a TED Talk with this guy from Caltech, this 200 IQ. He's on the spectrum, looking for love. And he did a TED Talk, and he did a version of that. We went on steroids version, but he did a version of that
where he broke down analytically how to date. Okay.
Yes, how to maximize his profile.
I hope he did better than Ben did.
Well, he did. He after maybe 20 dates or so, if I remember correctly, he ended up finding love and falling in love.
God help her.
So that was my idea. The speed dating, we were talking about, and Bill actually went to a wedding where they did some line dancing, and he was like, what I learned about line dancing is there's mathematics to it, and he started walking me through the math of it all, and he said, "What do you think we put a line dancing scene in there?" And I said, as long as we leave the plot of the movie, because these plots, these dense puzzle plots, are so Byzantine, and that's tricky enough as it is. But I said, let's make it about let's leave the plot and make it about the brothers. If we can do that, I said, I think it could be really fun. So Bill went and, did what Bill does. And then of course I had to get Ben to do all the rehearsals, and which he did cause he's not, as he would say, he's got two left feet.
Right.
He's not a dancer, as I'm not. So, but what's interesting about the speed dating scene is we had, so Bill wrote the scene, and I had discovered by the time we got to the scene with Ben and John, I realized very quickly there was this magical kind of alchemy that was happening with them, because as you know, two actors can really like each other. It doesn't mean it translates on screen. And there was something molecularly, chemically happening with them that I was recognizing. And I started encouraging improv. So the speed dating scene, so the girl always had the scripted question, which she would ask. And I would just had Ben improving. Every line that Ben has that's in the movie is an improv line. Not one of those are actually written from Bill. And a lot.
That's in that scene.
In that scene. Yeah, in the speed.
Well, he must have had fun with that.
He had a blast. He has such a blast with this character. It's a lot of fun to play.
It is a lot of fun to play. He's a very empathetic character, and it's a fascinating character. And obviously, he's a hero in a sort of superhuman way. The other thing, there's another part of this film that I really like in terms of what you're doing. Your world building to a degree. The Harbor Academy thing was like, oh, that's really interesting. It was. Look, franchises are sort of what's keeping a lot of things alive. I study them. I'm fascinated by them. I loved it in John Wick when suddenly in the second and third, in the Colonial, the hotel, there was like mythology started expanding. I felt that you were sort of expanding the mythology with the Harbor Academy and world building to a degree. Are you at this moment, or while you're writing, are you already thinking about the third one in any conceptual way in terms of like a larger world, things connecting in a different way? I would imagine people must be talking about a third one at this point.
Well, it wasn't only the third one. Bill and I, and this is
fifth one, whatever.
Yeah, well, Bill and I, and these are conversations we had with Warner Brothers after the first, is like, Bill and I wanted to create a whole accountant universe where Justine has other accountants out in the world that are doing similar things. It's not just Christian.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what we wanted to. So we had a whole TV series we wanted to, and we just could never get, we used to literally hang up the phone when we speak to Warner Brothers going like, are we living on a different planet than everyone? Like, I don't understand. This just seems so obvious to us. They never got it. I don't know. So hopefully, yes, there will be a third. We're gonna bring Anna back for the third. Anna was never intended to be in the second one. It was always the two brothers, and we want, Christian has to find love and connect. So we feel like we're gonna bring Anna back. To be honest with you, I don't know that I want to do another puzzle plot, because I just feel like once again I want to like refresh the tank and do something entirely different.
But I read a quote. It might have been from you or somebody.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the complexity of the plot, and you said, "But we have to have a complex plot because he needs a complex plot. Otherwise, why would you need him? And like if it's not indecipherable to the average human being, what's the point of bringing this guy in?" So it's sort of like you're sort of committed at some level of having something that most people couldn't figure out.
Or we're just plotless and we just do a road picture and we do no plot.
A plotless picture.
A plotless movie. That's going to go over big, isn't it?
The Seinfeld version. There is no plot.
There's no plot.
You put John and Ben in a car and just drive them
and just
around.
drive. And so I somehow have to integrate Anna into it. I'll figure that out. But I really don't want to do, I just don't want to do that puzzle plot again. It's just, it's exhausting. And it's so hard because you have to keep, like you said, if anyone can figure it out, you don't need Christian. So it has to be, there's a complexity to it, but it can't be so complex that you're going to lose the audience. So it's like you have to just put the carrot right in front of the mouth and never let the audience bite on it. But just so it's tricky to pull off.
So in post, you're aware this is an issue. You're a lot of balancing, trying different takes for yourselves. Before you got to test screenings, you're saying we're a little heavy on the plot. Let's go more characters. Were you doing a lot of tinkering with your editor in terms of balancing that part, going back and forth on it?
In regard to the plot?
In regard to balancing the plot with what you were talking about with the relationship stuff, the humor. I mean, because like you said, there's some heavy topics here. I don't really look at the spectrum stuff as heavy. I do look at, obviously, the human trafficking is a very serious topic. But balancing that with line dancing scenes and stuff, and you're trying to get a balance. Was that at all difficult in the editing room to sort of find that tone?
Well, what was difficult was just walking the tightrope of tone, because the plot, what's easy editorially, like with the Way Back, I had such a hard time cutting that film because it was not plotless, but it didn't have it was a very simple plot. So I was always veering off the plot and just pushing character and doing things. So it was a little trickier. This, you're just following the plot. So that's easy editorially, but it's all the interstitial stuff, the character moments. So what I always do is, and John's here, so John can attest to this.
My brother John's an editor,
Gilroy,
worked with.
There's John. Hi, John.
Who's Gavin on quite a few films.
Who used to cut my movies until his brothers became such great directors. I don't get him anymore. What I do is I just create bins. I look at every frame of everything I shot, right, and then I create bins of all moments and moments and moments and moments. And I'm always looking for the magic and the magic. So while Rick is cutting on this film, I'm in another room creating all my bins. And then, so I'm doing that and then finding
them on you're working in Avid yourself, or are you working on like a Pro Tool? What are you, like you're creating bins? Avid. Yeah, an Avid. So you're Avid fluent.
No, I'm not. I have somebody doing it for me. I just have him pulling it up and I'm like, all right, pull up all the scenes, all the scenes from that take. And then I just watch it and say, all right, grab that moment from there to there, put that in the bin. Next take, I'll grab that moment there to there, put that in the bin.
Quick question as a fellow director, on the set, are you one of the directors who like telling your script person, making really specific notes about each take? I really felt that. I've always fell by the wayside with me. I never had time to really comment on it. I would wind up in cut post going like, "Oh, that was good. That was good." Do you while you're shooting, are you good at keeping notes about what you like, or do you sort of like wait to do it in the cutting room?
That's a really good question. So when you're shooting a scene, are you at the camera watching the actors, or are you at the monitor watching the scene? Where do you?
I'm usually at the monitor. Usually.
Yeah.
Usually.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I know directors that go, they don't understand sitting at a monitor. That's like, you should be right there looking.
I never want to get in their sight line. I'm always terrified I'm going to wind up like in their eye line or something.
Well, there's that, but there's also what I've discovered is the naked eye doesn't see what the camera sees. So I've never understood judging something with your naked eye, because when you go look at the daily, you're like, wow, you never see
different.
it. So, and also when I'm looking at the monitor, I'm pretending it's a movie. I'm watching the movie. So what I always say to my script supervisor is, you'll know when I like something, just watch me. Cause I'm like, I'll do it. I'll just give her a thumbs up and then she'll make
He's like watching you and writing notes down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So self-indulgent.
Yes. So we only have a few more minutes left. Seamus McGarvey did a wonderful job, cinematographer. the first one you shot in film. First account was film.
Yeah.
Would you have liked to shot this one in film? Tell me what you like. I love film. I think these days it's very difficult to discern between digital and film. In fact, do you feel that you can see the difference in working with it? Do you just like working with the loading of the loading of the camera and that sort of whole ethos of it? What would you have done film on this one if you could?
No, because I discovered on the way back that if you shoot digitally and you can apply grain in a certain way, live grain, it's hard to tell the difference, at least from
I read that you did that at Company 3.
Yeah.
So maybe you probably know digital is a very clean, very, very digital look. Film is very analog and you get the beautiful grain. So what they do now, they can apply grain in post, give it the texture that you want.
Exactly.
A lot of grain, a little grain, because there's a real scale that you can go on it. Where you
it varies depending on different parts of the scene, whether flashbacks or where we were in the film.
I read in the first film that stylistically, from a cinematic standpoint, because Ben's character was so rigid, there was sort of an approach to cinematography, doing it sort of in a very specific, like cinematic way. Did that carry over into this film? Did you have a different style in terms of shooting with Seamus, or was it a?
Yeah, I was going for, there is, earlier there's a rigidity to, shooting Chris. But I started thinking about, it's funny because I looked at Nightcrawler because I thought you did a really great job shooting in LA and having that neo-noir kind of style. So I knew I wanted an entirely different look than the first one. We had a lot of nights shooting in LA, and I started breaking down the characters, and on the East is sort of a femme fatale because neo-noir now, or noir, has evolved so much. It's even almost hard to define, so different than what it was like in the 40s and 50s. So I just started pulling images and film references and.
Digital is really your friend at night, though. It's amazing. You don't have to light the street. You light the foreground. It'll pull out a candle from 40 miles away. It's great. What camera package what were you using?
We had the Alexa.
Yeah, the Alexa.
And then we use all these Cook vintage.
I read about that. Yeah.
Lenses. Yeah. So that's pretty much
great look to it. Yeah.
And Ben. So in Artist Equity, Ben's obsessed with lenses. So he has his own shop of lenses that we had.
Actually, they gave you the package, right?
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
So and they give you the packet, the cooks as well, or they get everything's right there.
He's got them all right there.
Man, they didn't charge you for them.
Well, I don't know about that.
They have them and they give them to you. And then, wait a minute, hold on. I thought we were.
How much are those?
I thought we were friends. You're in my movie.
You're paying for the movie.
That's why it was always confusing me. Remember, you have sound stages and I'm using them, but you're making me pay for them. How did that work? What happened there? But listen, I think we're sort of, that's probably been 5 minutes.
We have 1 minute.
We have 1 minute left. I don't know what to ask you. Do I have any more questions that I was going to ask you? Where are you right now in doing the next one? I mean, is there already conversations like, or is it sort of like next month we need to sit down and start talking about it, or?
Yeah, we're having conversations with Amazon.
Right.
But once again, we have a deal with Warner Brothers. We knew when we took it to Amazon that we wanted to do 2 with them to make 3. And so we have to factor in how much we have to pay Warner Brothers again. And then I guess we'll see how the film performs at the box office. Hopefully people are going back to the movies.
Yeah, but Amazon at the same time, they have a different metric. I mean, it's eyeballs that tune in to watch it, new subscribers. There's other, that's the thing.
But we got them to push it. So I think Amazon, they do like 3 weeks from release but we got them to push it to 5.
That's a good window. It's a great window.
Yeah. So I mean, it is now. It's not like the old days, but
no,
not like the old days. But yeah. So then then it'll go to Prime, and it'll go.
It's all good, man. You made a great film. I loved it.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic
I really appreciate
job.
it. Thank you very much.
See the next one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America